Hello, the purpose of this screencast is to introduce you to the story The Dog of Pompeii and to explain the reading assignment. So, eventually this will be posted to Classroom, and you would have found it by now because you're watching this screencast, but I want to explain what's on here. So, the story is called The Dog of Pompeii, and it says students will read the story The Dog of Pompeii. While they read, they will work on identifying the signpost contrasts and contradictions. So we're going to be focusing on that signpost, and we'll talk about what that means. On this particular post, there is an audio. I would like all students to listen to this audio while they read the story along with the audio. So the story is here. If I click this, the story begins here, The Dog of Pompeii, and that is on page 326. So while the audio is going, you should follow the story. Then there is the reading assignment itself, which is a Google Doc, and you will be writing on the Google Doc. Let's take a look at the Google Doc. When you open it, it's going to look like a lot of our past handouts that go along with readings. And it says, notice and note, and you're focusing on contrast and contradictions. So, before reading, review the definition and purpose of contrast and contradictions. Definition. A contrast and contradiction is a sharp contrast between what we would expect and what we observe the character is doing. So you expect the character to do one thing, but he or she does another, like the bad guy in a movie suddenly doing something good. Or it's a behavior that contradicts previous behavior or well-established patterns. So the bad guy or bad girl is always doing bad things, unkind things, and then all of a sudden does something kind. That's a contrast or contradiction. It can also be the setting. So the setting can change. And you'll see that in the story, The Dog of Pompeii, the setting changes drastically. It goes from one setting where things are happening and it seems like the world is in order and things are safe and peaceful and you can expect certain things to happen, and then there's a big change in the setting. That's a contrast and contradiction too. So when you come across a contrast and contradiction, stop, notice, and note. When a character behaves or thinks in a way we don't expect, or an element of a setting is something we do not expect, we should ask, why would the character act or feel this way? Or, what might this mean to the character? And if it's the setting, you might want to ask, why has the setting changed? How has it changed the story? Why we ask this question? Contrasts and contradictions show us other aspects of a character or a setting. This question encourages conversation about character, motivation, and the situation she or he is in. So, this sets up what a contrast and contradiction is. Basically, you're looking for characters that do one thing and then start to do another thing, or you're looking for a setting change where the setting drastically changes from maybe a peaceful place to a place of chaos. While you're reading, you're going to listen to the audio and follow along with the text. I showed you that already. Let me explain how you're going to be noting the contrasts and contradictions. As you read along with the audio of the story, The Dog of Pompeii, you will be looking for contrast and contradiction moments. If you were reading a hard copy of the book, you would use post-it notes to mark the moments. However, you only have the audio and an electronic text version of the story. Can't put post-it notes on it. Therefore, you will simply list the numbers of the lines where you notice a CC moment or a contrast and contradiction moment. Every line of the story has a number. So write down the line numbers of 3 moments from the story where a contrasting contradiction happens. Hint, one of them is the setting, and you'll type these below. And you'll type them right here. You would write line, and then it went to this line. So if you notice a contrasting contradiction starts on line 10, and maybe it goes to line 12, you would simply type it in here. And let me go back and show you the story itself. Every single line of the story has a number. So this is number 10. That would make this 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And you'll see it carries on. 17, 18, 19, and 20. So those are the lines, and they have the bench markers on the side that go up by 10. Okay, so that's the first thing you do while you read. Once you finish the story, choose one of the moments you listed above and ask yourself, why would the character act this way? So you're going to notice that a character changes his or her behavior. And then you're going to ask yourself why the character acted this way, why the change, and then you'll put your response here. After reading, respond to the questions. So after you've completed listening to the story and followed along, you've marked 3 CC moments, then you're going to answer these questions. The story ends in an entirely different setting. This, too, is a contrast. What do we learn because of this change? Write your response. Number 4, how does the answer to questions 2, this is question 2, and question 3, or question 3, and this is question 3, help you determine the theme of the story? So look at your contrasting contradictions. It's going to help you determine the theme. Write down the theme, and then answer how it helps you find it. And one of the tactics for this is what topic is being discussed. And then finally, number 5 is what is the theme of the story? And remember, a theme is just 5, 6, 7 words tops that the story teaches you. It's a lesson the story teaches you. So I'm going to put that here. What is the theme of the story? Or what is its lesson? What do you learn? When you return, or when you're done with this story, or when you return to class the next time, you will take a short quiz. It's one of those quizzes with multiple choice and short answer on this story after reading. So expect to be taking a quiz when you return for your next class. All right. Thank you for listening. Enjoy.